Give it up for Ministry, who's one of the leaders and organizers of this rally today, and is a former student of Woodbury High School.
My name is Minashri, and I just graduated from Woodbury, thank God. I have had quite the 4 years here, as some of you may know. I've never been afraid to speak truth to power, and when I invited our principal, Sarah Sorensen Wagner, to this protest, I did exactly that. She said that she couldn't make it, and I wasn't surprised. But she said she is, quote, continuing to work to do better, to listen more, and learn from students. I want a show of hands. How many of you reported an instance of bullying or harassment to the administration in 833? There's a lot of people from outside of Woodbury, that's why, but literally every single person of color has reported something. And how many of you truly think that administration did something to fix the situation so you would never have to go through that again? No hands, none. So when I invited 26 administrators here, I don't see a single one. And they think they're doing something. They're doing something for their reputation, nothing for us. South Washington County Schools has consistently failed in standing up for and protecting non-white students. The district must place a heavier focus on hiring administrators, counselors, and teachers of color. Our school district that is 70% white comprises of 3 high schools that have a total of 15 administrators. Guess what? They're all white. The superintendent, or former superintendent, he resigned. We don't know why. He used the excuse that there aren't enough teachers of color for us to hire them. Students of color do not feel safe attending school every day, and despite bringing instances of bullying and harassment to administration almost every day, students are constantly dismissed. There needs to be a zero-tolerance policy for racism and discrimination. Otherwise, schools are actively allowing and encouraging racism to permeate our homes. The Woodbury Police Department, we can all boo right now, has a track record of racially profiling citizens, agitating protesters, and dismissing claims of racially motivated harassment. The WPD needs to be held accountable for the brutal murder of Mark Henderson, in which he was profiled and shot in the back 17 times. 17 times. The 3 officers who shot Mark, Stacy Kretsch, Natalie Bauer, and Anthony Ofsted, still sit on the force today. In fact, one of the murderers showed up to a Justice for Mark protest. As a community, we need to be better at advocating for POC lives, not just when it is convenient or trendy.
It's also important to point out that Mark Henderson was being held hostage, and when he escaped, he was then shot by the cops. So if that tells you anything about who they're here to protect, who they're here to serve, and as Minashri said, there should be a zero-tolerance policy for racism. What it already looks like here at Woodbury High School is that there's not only a high-tolerance policy for racism, there is just a tolerance for racism at Woodbury High School.
Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Say her name.
Hey y'all. So like Toussaint said, I grew up in the Minnetonka-Hopkins suburb area, and I went to Edina High School, unfortunately. So I know a little bit about what y'all experienced here at Woodbury. They don't care about people in the way that they're supposed to, and it's like ingrained into the curriculum, it's ingrained into everything. And so when we talk about like the whole system being guilty as hell, it's not just the cops, y'all. Like it's in the schools, it's in the hospitals, it's in every single thing, it's in the housing, it's in everything. I know in the end of May and in early June, when there was a lot of uprising and trauma-informed actions going on in the Twin Cities, people were talking about the violence that was occurring, getting ripped out of your house, having inadequate prenatal health care, things like that. Those are violent. And so don't let anybody tell you that the violence in the Twin Cities that occurred has anything to do with the Black Lives Matter movement. It doesn't. it's trauma that's being upheavaled, and so that's where the problem is, because there's nobody to fix that, because the government doesn't want to put money into reparations or education or anything like that. And so for those of you who are also from the suburbs, I hope you will take that point and move with it.
To my black queens, there's no apology that's fit for you. No amount of sorries I could give to you that'll right the wrongs that this world did to you, but you weren't looking for apologies. You demand equality and appreciation instead of appropriation. And validation for your indignation. Black Barbies and Band-Aids and makeup and dark shades do help to lessen the feeling of condemnation. But all the black capitalistic pandering in the world will never equal fair compensation. They need liberation, more so than I do. Because the discrimination that they fight is that of a black man's times two. For every struggle that I face, black women have to battle theirs at least twice the rate. Because even movements for their benefit still find ways to discriminate. For there's racism and feminism, there's patriarchy and misogyny and racial equality and transphobia and all of these. There's colorism within our own community. But fair skin doesn't mean that you're treated fairly by our oppressor. Light skin, dark skin, even white skin, if you're 1/8, it's still only 3/5, so we must come together. Whenever there is any injustice, black women are on the front lines. They march, they chant, they speak, they organize, go to any protest and see them come to life because they are the true definition of ride or die. But just because they're willing to sacrifice doesn't mean that they should have to lose their lives. Rest in peace to Oliver Toya. My heart breaks for her every day. She was fighting so hard for a better future where black women won't have to do the exact things that took her life away. We must do better. Black women are underserved, unappreciated, fetishized, marginalized, while also being the most supportive, most creative, most loving people on this planet. There is nothing more beautiful than a black woman. Covered in her melanin, with brown skin like cinnamon, the women made it stand out instead of fitting in on their skin. They smother shade of cocoa butter, skin smooth like peanut butter, so many different shades and colors.
Woo, say that!
My curly-headed queens, from 2C all the way to 4C. I know it's hard to see sometimes, but I foresee a better future for you all. One where our daughters don't have to spend hours with a flat iron before class, and where they don't need relaxer to feel relaxed, and where they know that their curls are not a curse but a crown, where they don't physically damage their hair to cope with their psychological damage. One where your hairstyle isn't something your manager is allowed to manage. One where box braids have no correlation with your professionalism. Where you don't fear your application will be turned down because of the name that you were given, but more importantly, a world where childbirth isn't a death sentence.
Say it!
Where they can walk down the street without fear of being threatened, because now black girls go missing and everybody's quiet. Because now they can lock up a black girl for organizing a peaceful protest and say she incited a riot, free Tiana. Because now they can kill a black woman in her sleep for no reason with no repercussions, rest in peace, Breonna. Black women aren't angry. But if I was a black woman, I would be. For all this world has done, they should be, and yet they walk through this life with grace, elegance, a smile on their face, so full of love, full of light when all they receive is hate. Black women are strong, but we can't forget that they are also delicate. As hard as they fight is as hard as they feel. As hard as they persevere is as hard as they struggle, yet they continue to break down every barrier that is placed in their paths. To my sisters, I presume you appreciate apologies, but I'm positive you prefer progress. So I promise you my best. I promise in my presence you will always be protected and respected. Any less cannot be accepted. I will ride for you, just like I know you would ride for me. It's not enough to just follow your lead, but as a man, it's too much to make it about me. So alongside you is where I'll be. Because as long as black women are still subjected to this world's injustices, we must fight so we can all be free. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Tashira Garraway, and I am the fiance of Justin Tigan. and also the mother of his 14-year-old son. Justin Tigan was brutally beaten by the St. Paul police and thrown. His body was thrown inside of a trash dumpster. It is true what Toussaint said. The police, they do things to send a message. See, they didn't beat my son's father to death and throw him in the river. They didn't throw him in the woods. They threw him in the trash. And so the young man that just spoke, he talked about black women. See, they throw our black men in trash. They kneel on their necks. They stop them from breathing. They harass them before they kill them. Do little things to devalue them, make them sit on the curb. And then once they kill black and indigenous and Asian minority men, then they dehumanize them in the newspapers. They do whatever they can to justify their murders. So they have to bring up their history. They have to do that. Because they want to make it seem like, oh, we didn't need them anyway. But if Justin was such a bad man, see, I'm not his mother. I'm his significant other. If he was this bad man or a horrible father or whatever they tried to paint him out to be, I wouldn't be out here for 11 years fighting for his life. Because I knew who he was. They tried to say that he was the head of a gang. What gang? I was with him. He was the only man that I knew. And the other half to my child. So, these are the realities that we're living through. We got Monique Collier Doty out here who they shot her nephew, Marcus Golden, in the back of the head. We got Marilyn Hill, the same officer that was in her murder in 1997 that shot her 18-year-old child in the back. 2009, that same officer, Joshua Lego, is in my son's father's murder. So had they done something back then, when they murdered Demetrius Hill, my son's father might be alive. And had they done something for Marcus Golden, Cordell Handy, Jeffrey Smith, Justin Tigan, Demetrius Hill, Isaac Aiden, Brian Quinones, Travis Jordan, Fernando Castillo, then maybe, just maybe, if they would have listened to our cries and our pleas, George Floyd might be alive. But because they ignored our cries and our pleas, a man felt invincible. And he felt like he could take somebody's life on camera. And he didn't care. He knew he was being filmed. And he didn't care. So these are the realities. But see, they do all these things to our black men, but one thing they forgot about is the black woman. The black woman. And I am tired of watching them kill minority men. There has been over 429 murders at the hands of police here in the state of Minnesota alone in the last 20 years. And there's more murders than that, because I know families that are not a part of that, on that scroll of the 429. So there's hundreds of murders here in the state of Minnesota, but only one officer has been convicted. And that's because a minority man killed a white woman. You mean to tell me out of all those murders, only one officer was guilty, and it just happened because it was the black man that was guilty? Come on now. These people have sat outside my house. They've followed me. They've harassed me. They've done all these things. And you know what? You know what they're gonna, and they watch me. They watch my Facebook. They showed up to my son's father's protest recently on August 19th. and said that they seen it on Facebook. I said, yeah, I know y'all watch my page. Y'all gonna watch me get this justice. Y'all gonna watch all of our families get this justice. All of our families. You can sit out there as long as you want, because guess what? I'm going to keep organizing these families for families supporting families against police violence. It's my family supporting other families against this violence. Standing together in unity. Yep, keep on watching. Watch me talk about God and watch my God trump over all this evil. Because that's what we fighting up against, evil. This is evil. We got to call it what it is. This is downright evil. When you can throw a human being in a garbage can, that's evil. So, I just invite you guys to stand with the families. Families supporting families against police violence is actually a support group. That's what we started off as. I held my first support group meeting back in January. It started about 2 years ago when I met Jamar Clark's sister, because we are with Jamar Clark's family, Philando Castillo's mother Valerie, and Marcus Golden, all of our families. Demetrius Hill, Justin Tigan. It's about 20 to 25 families in the organization. So our website is fsfapv.org, or you can find us on Facebook and send us a message. Families supporting families against police violence. We thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for being here to stand with us and to fight with us. And most of all, please keep in mind why you're out here. It's due to our pain. But most of all, I'm out here too because I don't want to see anybody else, any of you. This pain is nothing to play with. I'm raising this man's child as a single mother thanks to the St. Paul Police Department. But I will not stop. I have no intent, under no circumstance, of stopping. My boots is on the ground. And you know what? If they want to threaten my life, they say nothing is worth living if it's, it ain't worth living if it ain't worth dying over fighting for. They're going to do what they have to do, because I am going to fight for what I know in my heart is right. And that's justice for all stolen lives. Thank you.